Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mayor's Forum on the Future of Agriculture here in the City of Surrey. My name is Harry Baines. I'm a City of Surrey Councillor. I'm also the Chair of the City's Innovation, Investment and Business Committee, and I'd like to welcome you all here today. Thank you very much for being here. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge on behalf of the City of Surrey that we are situated on the traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the Semiahmoo, the Kwantlen, and the Katzie land-based nations. And the City of Surrey recognizes the importance of honoring the Indigenous heritage of this place. I'd like to begin today on a good way by asking Mr. Kevin Kelly from the Kwantlen First Nation to please share a welcome with us.
Awesome. First of all, before we start, I want to say I came out here a couple of days ago just to find out where I was going to be working. I thank my brother, Big Rick, for the call. I got here and I pulled in, and the first thing I noticed is those three beautiful bears in the lawn. I almost wanted to kidnap one of them. But what I will say is, whoever owns this place, you know what I see in those bears, it'd be cool if you painted them West Coast. I was telling one of the girls that. I said, they're beautiful bears. I just want to say, I want to thank the organizers. Thank you, Harry, for your words. I want to thank you for always respecting the land you're on. And I mean that from my heart. I am the legs and voice for my wife, Stakwasan. She carries the female version of her late father, Grand Joe Gabriel. He was chief for my daughter, and now she's hereditary chief. She's been chief 35 years. A lot of times when she's unable to be here, I'm her legs and her voice. But in our way, a lot of times we don't write stuff down or record. We record with our eyes and our ears and our heart. And what I always do is I take it all in what I see, and then I bring it back to my wife, the chief, and her council and the elders, to let them know what I witnessed, to let them know what is going on in Surrey. And I do a lot of work in Surrey all over, and I thank you for that, Mayor Brenda Locke, and your council. I love coming to Surrey. Surrey is moving, and you're always doing something, and this is a good thing. Today it's agriculture. Good to see our Minister from Agriculture. I've done work with her before. And the Chair, thank you. Thank you for your hospitality. My Indian name is Salasalton. I carry my late father's name from my territory, where I'm still a member up in Colton's Lake, Sewali. I was in politics in the 80s. Because I married a hereditary chief, I've been here 30 years. I would say I got the better deal. But I hope I met it. Taylor. Thank you for your hospitality, sir. It was nice we talked for a short time. I'll always remember faces, but sometimes I'm not good with names. They told me I should have been a cop. But I'm honored to be here, and I hope you have a beautiful day. This is what it's all about. I got to do a welcome song, and what the welcome song is, not only did it welcome me to the territory, this is how the chief would welcome me in our community, in our lawn house, where we celebrate, where we feast. My drum, I always say, our hands up, can you do this? When we do this in our ceremony, regardless of where you go, we are calling you the respected one. And it's what it represents. Just take it all in, and what the song represents is a welcome. But I tell people too, sometimes the elders told me, maybe when you got up, your heart was heavy. Maybe when you got up, you weren't feeling up to par. Maybe when you got up, when you left home, somebody in your household wasn't feeling well. Or maybe you have a loved one in a hospital. Or maybe you laid a loved one to rest. What I say to you is, when I sing this song, you pray for yourself most of all, and then you pray for your family. Our elders tell us, if you believe in our songs, our medicine, I guarantee you it'll help you. to beat in my heart, but it's also the beat of each and every one of you. I just wanted you to know that. So I know you got a busy day, and I just really want to thank you, Brenda, for allowing me to be a little bit of it, and thank you for respecting Kwantlen. What's them? Oh, 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 hey. Oh, 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 What I want to say in closing, no. I made my wife the chief. We have 8 children. We have 5 girls and 3 boys. My youngest son is 21, my oldest daughter is 46. But what we taught our children, and I want to explain to each and every one of you, when I sing the songs, I look all the way around the room, all the way around. I don't leave anybody out. Because the way you look at me, the way you look at me, the way you look at me, I give you the respect back you deserve. And that's what I've taught my children. I just wanted to share that with you. We just got to take time and just go back to our old ways sometime. It doesn't cost nothing. But I hope you have a beautiful day. You look like you got a beautiful crowd here. Thank you, Harry, and have a beautiful day. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. That was thank you for sharing your words of welcome with us. We appreciate that. This is the second of the Mayor's Forum series, which started last year. Today's event is focused on the future of agriculture here in the city of Surrey, and it's hosted by the Innovation, Investment, and Business Committee from the city of Surrey, and the Surrey and White Rock Board of Trade. And the city of Surrey and the Surrey White Rock Board of Trade, that's a great partnership that we value deeply. So thank you for everything that the Board of Trade has done. Before we begin, I'd also like to acknowledge the IIBC members that are present today. When I call your name, please stand and be acknowledged. Daniel Watson from McKesson, Canada. Scott Wheatley from the Cloverdale Chamber of Commerce, Peter Smales from Kwantlen Polytechnic University, and Jocelyn Young, the CEO of the Surrey and White Rock Board of Trade. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to see such a diverse group here today. Growers, processors, ag-tech innovators, educators, researchers, community organizations, and many more. Your presence reflects how interconnected our agriculture sector truly is. And this conversation is personal for me. I mean, I come from a farming family, so topics like agriculture, food insecurity, food security, and innovation have always been part of my life. I'm genuinely excited to hear the conversations that are going to be had here today and hear the insights from all of you on how we can move this industry forward. Surrey is transforming rapidly right before our eyes, and as a city rooted in agriculture with 30% of our land being within the agricultural land reserve, we're at a very important moment in our city's future. We understand that we have to protect our farmland. And we also need to understand that as a farming community, we need to embrace innovation and innovation that supports productivity, efficiency, and long-term resilience for our agri-food community. And I look forward to engaging with all of you today and hearing your insights throughout the day. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our Master of Ceremonies for today, Ms. Jocelyn Young.
Thank you, Harry. It's rare that a microphone is too tall for me. Mayor, how are you going to fit back here? All right, so thank you, Councillor Baines. I'm thrilled to be your MC today and to lead you through these very important discussions. Agriculture has always been a foundational part of Surrey's economy, and today its importance is only growing. As one of the fastest growing cities in Canada, and we like to think the best, not biased at all, Surrey is uniquely positioned to lead in food production, food security, and agri-innovation. Our agricultural sector goes beyond farms and fields. It's about jobs, investments, supply chains, and the technologies that will shape the future of how we grow and move food. From a business perspective, agri-tech is a powerful economic driver. It brings together innovators, researchers, and industry leaders to develop solutions that make food production more efficient, more sustainable, and more resilient. This means new companies choosing Surrey, new jobs across both urban and rural areas, and new opportunities for collaboration with our post-secondary and research partners, of which we have many here in the city. Surrey has everything we need to succeed, from a large agricultural land base, proximity to major markets, to a diverse business community, making it an ideal testbed for emerging technologies. This might be in automation, vertical farming, climate-smart practices, or advanced processing. When agriculture and technology work together, the ripple effect is significant. Food security, stronger supply chains, reduced emissions, higher productivity, and a more competitive regional economy. Ultimately, supporting agriculture and agri-tech is about ensuring long-term prosperity. It's about building a future where Surrey can feed its growing population, attract high-value investments, and lead in innovation across the province and beyond. By investing in this sector, we're strengthening local businesses, supporting farmers, and positioning Surrey as a global player in the next generation of food and technology. It's now my pleasure to thank our sponsors of today's event. Our supporting sponsor, the BC Centre for Agritech Innovation, hosted at Simon Fraser University. Can I get a big round of applause? Yeah. I see some excited people down here. I love it. And our community sponsor, Fortis BC. Thank you so much. It's also my pleasure to welcome some special guests in the audience. And for those of you who have been to one of our events before, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on the one clap method. Makes it a little more fun, make sure you're awake. And so what we do is I'll say the name and the title, and then you have to kind of anticipate when I'll be done. And then all together in unison, clap once. Okay, are we ready? I've got 7 names to go through, 8 actually. the Honourable Jill McKnight, Canada's Minister of Veterans Affairs, Associate Minister of National Defence, and MP for Delta. Come on, guys, gotta wake up. BC's Minister of Agriculture and Food, Lana Popham. Okay, now we're on it. MLA for Surrey Panorama, Brian Tepper. Her Worship, Mayor of Surrey, Brenda Locke. Deputy Mayor of White Rock, Elaine Chung. City of Surrey Councillors, I fooled you, Linda Annis, Harry Baines, Mike Bose, Doug Elford, Pardeep Kuner, Rob Stutt. Okay, and from the Consulate General of Guatemala, our good friends who always bring me really good coffee, the Consul General, Minor Aguera. Hello, sir, how are you? Okay, thank you guys, that was good. I mean, not great, but we'll keep working on it, okay. I also want to recognize the Surrey and White Rock Board of Trade directors that are here with us today, as well as our colleague from the Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce, CEO Corey Redekop. CEO, Corey, where are you? Oh, we want to give him a clap. 1, 2, 3. Corey, where are you? Say hi. There he is. Hi. As we get started with today's program, it's my pleasure to ask you to turn your attention to the screen for a brief video.
Announcing up to $1.3 billion in funding for the Surrey-Langley SkyTrain extension.
UBC buys $70 million property for Surrey campus.
A new medical school will ensure 1,300 doctors and nurses over the next few years.
Hey, to show us what's going on in Surrey. I'm pumped up. It is now my immense pleasure to introduce to you Her Worship Mayor Brenda Locke to say a few words.
We got your back, Minister. We were just comparing notes to see who was the shortest. It's not me. Good morning, everyone. It is absolutely my pleasure to be here with all of you. And I have to say, for me, I was going to say it was a labor of love. I did very little. I have to truly thank our staff for all the wonderful work they did to pull this all together. Above and beyond, I want to thank the committee, Harry, and your committee. Where's the committee members for our Ag Committee? Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for all the work you've done. This is truly amazing and something I think that is unique and so needed in our city. So thank you for that. Thank you to the Surrey Board of Trade for partnering with us. This has been wonderful, and we'll talk about SFU a little bit later. But I do want to just acknowledge Surrey is a university town now. We have, yeah, that's pretty cool. So thank you all for coming out and joining us today and participating in what I think will be a really interesting and dynamic time for everyone. I am so very pleased to welcome Minister Popham. Thank you for making the time to come here. I appreciate all that you do, and I have to tell you, I have the pleasure of working with a lot of ministers, and Lana Popham is certainly one that I really do appreciate our relationship because she's done remarkable work for farming. She cares about the food sector, and we appreciate that here in Surrey, so thank you. Today is about making Surrey a hub for agriculture technology. It's about bringing new tools, it's about research, business opportunities, and different ways that we can help farmers and food producers succeed. It's time to put agriculture on the spotlight in Surrey, because farming and innovation are not just opportunities, they are a necessity for Surrey's future. They're a necessity, actually, for all of our future, for British Columbia's future. And that is why we're developing Surrey's agri-tech strategy. Your ideas are essential to shaping it so truly we support farmers, we strengthen our local food system, and we build resilience for families and our economy. Many farmers are facing challenges adopting those new technologies, and our goal is to make it easier to access the tools, the funding, and the support that you need, while providing that all of this provides all the innovation that will pay off in time, in money, and in results. Because at the end of the day, food doesn't come from a grocery store. It comes from the hard work of farmers and the land. The province recognizes Surrey as a major agriculture centre. And as Councillor Baines has said, a third of our land is in the ALR and more than half is actively farmed across more than 400 farms right here in Surrey. Surrey is home to over 50 food and beverage companies, including Nanak Food, and I see Gurpreet Anaja is here. Where are you, Gurpreet? I saw you earlier. Oh, there he is, Gurpreet. Is here showing our strong agriculture community and opportunities. And we can do so much more, and we will. And we must actually do more. Research and development is a key part of Surrey's agri-tech landscape. Our geographic location for shipping by rail, by port, by the borders puts us in an unenviable position. Institutions like the BC Centre for Agritech Innovation and the Global Institute for Agritech at SFU are supporting companies and bringing research to market. KPU's Applied Genomics Center and Institute for Sustainable Horticulture is training talent and developing knowledge to drive growth. Our farmers face real threats, from invasive species to bird flu, which makes innovation and support even more critical today. The Surrey Urban Technology Test Lab and dozens of extension services give businesses and farmers the tools and the support they need to innovate and to succeed. Leading in agriculture and agri-tech isn't just about technology, though. It's about using tools like precision agriculture, drones, and improvement in nutrients and water management to help producers diversify and meet changing consumer tastes. We were just talking about that earlier. Funny things like Ozempic have changed people's palate. Surrey's companies like the No Meat Factory and Bush Foods are leading the way with alternative proteins and new food products. To some people in my generation, I'm looking the room real fast to see how many of you are my generation. We only got food when it was in season. Strawberries were in June, raspberries kind of in that July time frame, and oranges and mandarins only came in at Christmas. But that's all changed, and now we get everything all the time, every day. So it's important for the next generation to understand that meat doesn't come in a cellophane package, that potatoes don't come in the shapes of happy faces or dinosaurs. They need to understand what food really is. They need to see the relationship between the land and the food and how to get it to market. And I know lots of Surrey farmers open their doors to let our kids in schools and kindergartens see how food is produced. Preparing students with the skills in agriculture, food production, and agri-tech ensures a strong workforce and keeps Surrey's agriculture sector thriving. With farmland, research, and innovation, Surrey can lead the country in agriculture excellence. And agriculture is a big part of our history in Surrey, actually. It's part of our identity. And even as we move forward to develop the Cloverdale Fairgrounds, we are shaping it to support our roots as a farming community. The City of Surrey is implementing an agri-tech strategy to establish Surrey as a leader in agriculture innovation, and our agriculture and agri-tech sectors can support our food system resilience, economic diversification, and climate adaptation. Strategic investment will help producers attract new businesses and ensure long-term sustainability. Agritech gives Surrey a real chance to lead. Being a leader doesn't mean leaving traditional farming behind, though. It means giving farmers new tools, new ideas, and great opportunities. Innovation lets producers adapt to changing markets and meet evolving consumer demands. Farmers across Surrey are already using technologies to improve productivity, sustainability, and market research, and we want to continue to support that. So today, I am proud to announce that the City of Surrey and Simon Fraser University will sign a Memorandum of Understanding to create an agri-tech hub right here in Surrey. This hub will connect people, ideas, and businesses so innovation leads to real results. It will give agri-tech startups and established companies the space, the resources, and partnerships they need to grow. It will be a game changer for Surrey and a concrete step in building the city as an agri-tech development. I'm just going to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to Steve Dooley and all the team at Simon Fraser University. You know, it's pretty remarkable when a university is so embedded into a city. Simon Fraser, like no, you should change the name to Surrey Simon Fraser University. I just thought that. Simon Fraser University is such a great part of who we are as a city. They are always working with our city, and I really do appreciate that, and I take my hat off to you for doing that, because you're such a crucial part of the growth that we've seen, the ability that we have in the city, and you're just a tremendous part of who Surrey is going to be. We know that's going to continue with the medical school, so we thank you all for that. I want to also shout out to KPU. I know they're in the room as well somewhere. It's important, but it's, I think, rare that cities and the universities are so absolutely linked and work together in such a fine way as the City of Surrey has for some time with our universities. It's important to all of us, so thank you. Thank you both to KPU and to certainly to Surrey Simon Fraser University. It's going to be SS. We can do that. It's not a problem to change the name, is it? No. Hell, yeah, good. But your ideas and experience are critical to making Surrey's agri-tech strategy succeed, and today is about conversations, collaborations, and solving problems together. Tell us what's working, what's holding you back, and how we can better support you and agriculture in the city of Surrey. Let's make sure that the solutions we develop are practical, attainable, and truly helpful. And by working together, we can help Surrey's agriculture sector thrive, adapt, lead, and innovate. And in closing, I have to say that Surrey has the opportunity to turn farmland, talent, and innovation into real, lasting leadership in agriculture technology. Through strategic action, collaboration, we are positioning Surrey as a national and global agritech leader. So I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank you for sharing your ideas. They are important. And I can tell you that the city of Surrey will bend like a pretzel to make things happen if we can for you. It's really critical, not just to the city, it's critical to food security in our region. This is incredible that you're all here. I'm actually unbelievably pleased to see that this really has taken off. And but it's only possible because of your ideas, your hard work, and your energy. And again, I just want to thank Minister Popham for all the work, all the incredible work that she has done and will continue to do for food security in our region and for innovation in agriculture. I thank you so very much. So thank you all. I hope you all enjoy the day. And over and out. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Mayor Locke. And now I'm delighted to introduce BC's Minister of Agriculture and Food, Lana Popham. Round of applause, please.
Hello, everyone. Nice full room here. What a treat. Kevin, I love crossing paths with you, and I'm so glad that happened today. Thank you for the welcome. Yes. Mayor Locke, I love brainstorming with you because we both have the same affliction. No idea is too big. And thank you for connecting the dots on agriculture in your city. It means a lot. And I've probably been invited to Surrey more than any other local government to talk about the future of what food security looks like. And I really appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you. So this is a great room filled with amazing people. I recognize so many of you. Just want to point out my two former colleagues, Minister Alexis, former Minister of Agriculture, is here, and my former Parliamentary Secretary, Bob Deeth, when I worked in arts and culture. Thank you it's great to see you guys. I miss you. I couldn't be happier than to be coming here to talk about the thing that keeps me awake at 3:30 in the morning. Not because I'm always just worried about it, but because I love it. I live for agriculture and food. I know that the future of our food security is changing rapidly. And so I used to farm back in the 90s. I farmed for about a decade. I had a small vegetable business. I managed vineyards around Vancouver Island. And I participated in what we called South Island food security. I had gone to UBC where I got a degree which focused on urban planning, but it was mostly on food systems. And I have just been living and breathing this my entire life. I grew up on Quadra Island where food security wasn't trendy. It was the way of life. The ferry stopped running in the winter. You had to have stores of food to keep you going. The power went out. And so I just came away from all of that experience thinking that that's how everybody lives. Everyone prepares. Everyone has a giant pantry in their house filled with things for a decade. But times have changed, and the way that we're producing food is changing, not just because of technology, but because we have to change. I've been Minister of Agriculture. First tranche was 2017 for 5 years. In that time, I saw how much the climate was starting to affect farmers on the front line in ways that I never thought I'd see. Most significantly was the floods in the Fraser Valley. These climate change events are a serious, serious impediment to us producing food in the way that we used to. We also have some global crisis going on around fresh water supply. We don't have the water that we need when we need it at critical times, and we have too much water when we don't need it. These are all things that we have to keep in mind as we plan what our future in food security looks like. And I have to say, being able to be here in Surrey to talk about that with all of you, I couldn't think of a better place to be having it, because Surrey isn't just growing fast. And I think the mayor said you're getting, how many people per month are you landing? 1,200 people per month moving into Surrey. To me, that just represents 1,200 more stomachs that we have to feed. So there is a huge appetite in Surrey. It's kind of a play on words, but not really. But it's forcing Surrey to grow fast. But Surrey's also growing really smart. And Surrey is taking the opportunity to thoughtfully plan out what's needed in the future and to prepare. And so I would like to commend the City of Surrey for doing that. The Board of Trade also has a significant role to play and has always been pushing the envelope in that way. So my hands go up to you. But this is becoming something that is a serious concern, but also one of the most exciting times that we've seen. And that's because there's innovation out there that farmers are embracing. There's new technology that's come a long way. And so it is becoming something that is everyday language. People understand it. And the City of Surrey seems to also be embracing it. So I look to all of the folks that have a hand of that in this local government area. So it's the farmers, it's the producers, it's the educators, it's the innovators. Everybody is building the tools that we're going to need to feed the future. And that is so critical. From my perspective, Surrey is unique and has a different, they have a special quality here. And that is because there is a bustling, growing urban center that is right next to a third of their land base, which is the ALR. The ALR is always contentious. You know, if you fool around with the ALR, you're going to hear about it one way or the other on both sides. And so, but I think because we're all focused now on resiliency and food security, the agricultural land reserve is more important than it's ever been. And we're thinking of different ways that it can meet the moment. And so, from my perspective, Surrey is in a very good position to be able to embrace the ALR for the qualities we need it for, and then to push the dial in ways that we haven't done before. And those are the conversations that I've had with people in this room that make me feel hopeful. The variety of production that we have in BC, the number of things that we grow is increasing. I just had my first BC persimmon a couple days ago. It came from my dad's hobby farm, but the persimmon production this year was incredible. Let me just give you some hope for the future. From my perspective, this growing year, I have never seen a better growing year in BC since I've become minister, since 2017. Never seen it. Everything lined up. We had good weather. The drought situation was less critical than it had been the year before. We had some amazing movement as far as recovery from previous years. Farmers were out there working hard, and the amount of production was at record levels. Now, go back a year and a half when we were all hearing about the demise of the fruit tree industry in the Okanagan, where everything froze. Not only that, the BC Apple Co-op was shutting down. Collectively, all our hearts broke, and it felt very hopeless. This year, I just went up 2 weeks ago and helped cut the ribbon with that BC fruit trees opening up again. Different ownership, different model, but it is back up and going, and it was the best fruit production year ever. So there is some hopeful times ahead. I guess I'm mentioning that because when we talk about agri-tech and the need for it to be a solution, it's often thought of because there's an impending doom coming at us. And that we've got some serious challenges for sure, but it's also very hopeful. So let me just use the example of the BC tree fruits packing house. When farmers come in, deliver their apples, they deliver them, they go into a conveyor belt. That apple has 50 photos taken of it before it gets to the end of the line where it's packed in to go out for shipping. 50 photos. This is a high-tech packing house. And what does that mean? It means that the consumers are getting a very good quality apple. They sort things out. There's high quality apples, lower quality apples. Some are going to go for juice. But it allows the packing house to give direct information to the farmer to say, you know, that bundle of apples had too many bruises because of transportation. You need to fix your transportation for the next load. They can work with farmers immediately on improving their quality. And so that's one of the things that agri-tech can do. That's very hopeful for the future, and it allows us to be a leader, continue being a leader in so many things that we're doing. We have one of the best reputations for food quality around the globe. I was just on a trade mission in Japan, South Korea, and Malaysia. Everyone talked about the quality of Canadian food and BC food. They didn't say BC, they said Vancouver, but you know, that we know they meant BC. So we have this reputation that we need to keep up, and agri-tech will help us do that. As I said, there is really no shortage of challenges that are being thrown at us. I've seen that escalate in my time, but we honestly, we have every advantage going for us as well. And even though things are becoming more unpredictable, we are going to look at technology to help us. So we've historically looked at technology to do things faster, smarter, cheaper. And now we're looking at technology to help us solve the greatest challenges that we've ever faced. And that is growing food in a state of climate change. But I think the mayor said it very well. Technology isn't replacing farmers. It's replacing some jobs on the processing side, definitely. But it's allowing farmers to use their own superpowers and to harness the technology that allows them to grow better and stronger. Most of that that I've seen in the last little while, we do grants for water infrastructure, and we have moved the dial significantly on agri-tech and water irrigation. So there are AI-driven irrigation systems now that are cutting water into fields by 50% or more. There's growing methods that are cutting water consumption. When I was in South Korea, I was witness to an MOU that was signed between SFU and the University of South Korea on reducing water specific to tomato plants. They had sensors on the roots of the tomato plants, and the tomato plants were giving information into the system that would allow them to put specific amounts of water into each plant. And these tomatoes were beautiful. So focusing in on technology, agri-tech like that is critical. We all know we're facing a drought right across the province. That's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse over the next number of decades. But if we can use technology to reduce our water consumption and also use technology to harvest water when it's available. Everybody's probably familiar with Howling's greenhouses out in Delta. They have put a system on their rooftop that collects all the rainwater, and they have now storage capacity that allows them to water their greenhouses without tapping in to their local water system until I think they can get to the end of July into August now, just using stored rainwater from the winter. So it's incredible ideas like that that will help us in the future. I think the greenhouse industry itself is looking to expand, and we need them to. They're a huge part of our food security in the province and a huge part of our exports that we do. If we can harness this type of technology around us, then we will be making great strides in food security where other regions are not going to be able. We will be the most competitive area because of the advantages that we have. So let me just say that there are so many interesting agri-tech projects in Surrey companies stepping up in ways that are, I talked about that all over Asia when I was there. I use Surrey as an example. Arrowroot Systems, working with KPU to grow basil using 90% less water, Argus controls, climate controlled automation protects crops during extreme heat by allowing greenhouses to drop their temperatures by 15%. We've got Green Smart Technologies here in Surrey, developing plant-based coatings that extend berry shelf life and reduce waste. Food waste is another thing that we're leading on, and I think there's a big project for Brenda and I to talk about around food waste as well. Canadian farm produce, the Sahota family, using camera-guided cultivators to save labor, hours, and improve precision. And then our beloved Heppel's Potato Company, using a robotic arm to pick, pack, and seal potatoes much faster. We've got mushroom farms that are using technology to harvest mushrooms 24/7. Very difficult job for humans to do. They're able to go in and take photos of these mushrooms and pick them as they ripen and get ready for harvest. So these are the sorts of things that we are developing in British Columbia. Farmers are embracing it, and it's going to allow us to get ahead. I can't tell you enough about how confident I am in how we are going to be able to move forward on food security. Food security is a concern right around the globe, but we are going to be able to do this here. And Surrey is, I believe, will be the center of the innovation. And that's because there is such a progressive mindset here, and the way that the dots are being connected is something I don't see around other areas of the province. So let me just finish off by saying that when I was an organic farmer back in the 90s, I had a different mindset. Everything was small scale. Everything was very hand done. And I produced really amazing food, but I produced it for my family, and I had a small number of customers. Over the years, I was in opposition for 8 years, and I toured the province as the agriculture critic. I had to learn more about agriculture in BC. I had to expand my mind. And over those 8 years, I understood medium, small, large scale agriculture operates differently. And I saw a lot of competition between small scale and large scale farming. Today, things have changed, and I see farmers working together. And I think that technology is bringing farmers together. And so as we start to see technology implemented right across the province, there will be a need to have a center for agri-tech where farmers can be able to communicate back and give feedback, because our rapidly changing growing conditions will need to have that feedback so farmers can make new choices and have different alternative ways of dealing with the things that they're grappling with. They're going to need us to support that. And so I feel hopeful about that. And I can't tell you that how glad I am to be here with you. I wish I could stay for the rest of the day. I'm going to stay for a little bit, but I'm going out to see Sunrise Poultry Processing. It's a big day out there. A lot of chickens coming in. And they're also using interesting technology in the way that they're processing chickens. So it's all around us. I want to thank the City of Surrey, Mayor Brenda Locke, the Board of Trade, with smart investments, with innovative minds, and Surrey's leadership. I think the best days are ahead of us as far as food security goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Popham. Amazing remarks. I love the confidence in Surrey. We share that here. Now it is my pleasure to announce the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, marking a partnership milestone between the City of Surrey and Simon Fraser University. Councillor Baines, would you please join me back on stage and tell us more about the significance of this MOU initiative?
Thank you, Jocelyn. The City of Surrey and Simon Fraser University have always had great partnerships and great collaborations. This is just another example of it. Today, we are taking an important step in advancing collaboration between the City and SFU, the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, which establishes a collaborative framework between SFU and the City of Surrey to create the SFU Frontier Hub for Agritech Research and Methodology, or SFU FARM. Recognizing the need for government and academia-supported infrastructure to support research, development, and innovation advancement, this MOU sets the framework for joint initiatives in agricultural innovation, supporting growth, sustainability, and shared learning. SFU already hosts the Global Institute for Agritech in Surrey, making it a natural partner with deep roots in the local agritech environment. The City and SFU both share a commitment to advancing research in agritech, sustainability, and economic development right here in the City of Surrey. The university brings academic leadership, research capabilities, and access to funding opportunities that complement the city's land and regulatory support. With this agreement in place, the city and SFU are set to collaborate on exciting initiatives that will benefit the local agricultural community well into the future. At this time, I would like to invite Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke and SFU's Provost and Vice President Academic Dilson Rassier to come forward and officially sign the MOU. Let's take a moment to celebrate this very important relationship. This partnership looks to establish a physical center demonstrating agri-innovation excellence that will be accessible to industry for piloting technology, in-field testing, shared spaces, and many other uses. Food processors often encounter significant barriers when considering new technologies. This center aims to break down those obstacles and de-risk the path forward, empowering producers to adopt agricultural innovations with confidence. Above all, the center is designed to serve the community. Every initiative undertaken here is focused on delivering tangible benefits that strengthen and support our agricultural community. 21st. This Memorandum of Understanding is only the first step of many, and we look forward to the many exciting initiatives to come. If you have any questions about this MOU and the center, you can talk to myself and Tyler Westover, our Director of Business and Government Relations, to learn more. Thank you, everybody, for coming today.
And I'll just ask our guests of honor to come to the stage for a quick photo. And while they're doing that, I'm really excited to announce the next part of our program, and this involves all of you. We are going to hear from you, the audience, on your ideas and feedback around Agritech. This engagement activity will help shape the City of Surrey's Agritech strategy, which aims to position Surrey as a leader in agriculture innovation. We want to hear from you on 4 areas: your definition of Agritech, barriers to adopting Agritech, useful Agritech tools, and partnership opportunities. There are a few ways for you to be involved today. On this side of the room, it says motion to my right. I don't think that's correct. I think it's the left. There's roundtable discussions with our facilitators and note takers. You can visit the boards throughout this space, write your thoughts on them. And there's also a survey online. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen, or a paper form on your tables to submit feedback. Lunch will also be ready shortly, so please feel free to move about the room and give us the type of feedback that we can do something with. Thank you, everybody. Hello, everybody. Wasn't lunch fantastic? I had both chicken and salmon. It was good. If I could just get your attention and ask you to round up your conversations, we are going to have a discussion now that is integral to the future of agriculture, and I hope you're here for it. Our industry panel is going to explore agricultural innovation and agri-tech. Oh, right, now we're paying attention. Agri-tech. All right. So it is now my pleasure to introduce and welcome your moderator of the panel session. Brian Waddy is the Director of Microgrant Funding and Agritech Adoption Integrated Markets at Innovate BC. Come on up, Brian. And your panelists, just come on up and get comfy. Oh, you want to do the video first? Okay. Of course we can, sure. I'll introduce your panelists, and then we'll have a video, and then we'll all get on the stage. Okay, so your panelists are Rahul Singh, Director for BC Centre of Agritech Innovation. Let's do the one clap method. Good. Vivek Doom, President and CEO of Fruitsy. Dave Van Keulen, Director of Donia Farm Foods. And Michael Van Eekelen, President of Van Eekelen Enterprises and MVA Automation. That was a tough one. Long title. Okay, while everyone gets settled, I invite you to watch a brief video on the screen. Thank you.
I hired this autonomous weeding platform that uses AI image recognition to help us control the weeds in our vegetable crops. It uses a combination of lasers, mechanical weeders, and potentially selective spraying to eliminate weeds in the field.
I think everybody's got food security on their mind these days, and there's been a real renaissance in people appreciating farmers and what they do. It's a really important job to be able to produce food for all of the people that live here in British Columbia and globally. But we do know that they're facing challenges. They're on the front lines of climate change. There's supply chain issues that are happening.
One potential solution to help those farms remain profitable, productive, and efficient are new technologies. However, new technologies don't come without their risks. The BC On-Farm Technology Adoption Program supports farmers by de-risking the adoption of new technologies and allows them to demonstrate and deploy those technologies on their farms. Innovate BC was thrilled to partner with the Ministry of Agriculture to help deliver funding for BC farmers to adopt new technologies for their operations.
Innovate BC and the Ministry of Agriculture, with funding through the federal government, has been able to come up with dollars that we can cost share with farmers and producers to be able to make these investments. It's a really critical time to do this, and so I think people are really excited about the program. And we've seen 2 rounds of very high interest because we know that farmers are also interested in making changes to help their businesses.
So hi everyone, my name is Brian Waddy. I'm the Director of Agritech Adoption at Innovate BC. Innovate BC is a Crown corporation focused on delivering innovation programming across all sectors in BC to support entrepreneurs and new technologies coming to market. I joined Innovate BC coming from an agricultural background myself. I grew up on the East Coast. My dad grew potatoes out there, and I studied agricultural engineering and did a dual degree in agronomy. Worked for a few different ag tech startups across Canada, worked and lived in every province, and eventually found my way to BC and joined Innovate BC a couple of years ago. And it's my pleasure to have some of the panelists here on stage with me, some of whom who are producers that have been adopted new technologies supported by Innovate BC's BC on-farm technology adoption program, and others with whom we've worked closely in BC Kai, as well as some new faces for me, and hopefully some new learnings and insights from Vivek here down at the end of the stage. So I'll pass it down. We'll maybe just go one by one and get your quick intros.
Thank you, Brian. Hi, my name is Rahul Singh. I'm the Director of BC Center for Agritech Innovation. My background is in science, and after doing research, I have now moved to support technology and invention commercialization for social economic benefits. I'm here with my team members, Christophin, Lala Benkrima, and Boson, who play a significant role in making BCCI what it is today. I just wanted to highlight that BCCI is funded by Pacific Economic Development Canada for 5 years, and also with the money from province of BC for 3 years. And the way we work is that our work starts where the research ends. So although we are hosted at Simon Fraser University, we support any invention or technology that has reached to, let's say, a pilot stage or a prototype is developed, and then we help small, medium businesses, farmers, producers, processors to adopt that technology by testing, like, in the real-time environment or doing piloting at their facilities, so that we can support inventions, innovations coming out of universities to move towards commercialization. I'm happy to talk about that later on as well. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Keulen from Donia Farms. So we have a large commercial dairy farm in South Surrey, and then along with that, we have a brand in the grocery store under the Donia Farms name. And we sell dairy direct to about 400 retailers in Western Canada, supplying traceable dairy products to those that want to know where their milk comes from, something that's quite unique in the Canadian dairy system. But yeah, we farm a number of acres as well, so happy to answer some questions, hopefully.
Hi, my name's Michelle Van Eekelen. I'm a farmer in Abbotsford. Abbotsford, and I also run M Automation, where I supply farmers with autonomous solutions for seeding and weeding, as well as vehicle and implement guidance systems. I'm the CTO for Eekelen Enterprises, our family farm. We're the largest and only producer of endive in Western Canada, and I oversee all technical investments in the farm and oversee their implementation, and I'm always looking to improve the efficiency of our growth and how we utilize our workforce.
Hi, my name is Vivek Dhume. I am a co-founder of a company called Fruitsy. We represent farmers. I think our organization has been a farmer-oriented organization to build innovations across the globe and bring the farms to the retailers. So we have been working across the world, about almost 20 countries. We deal with the topmost brands, trying to take them to the top retailers of the world. So we are focused on Europe, Middle East, Southeast Asia, India. Currently, I have moved from Toronto to BC 2 years back, and we are trying to build up the similar concept of a cooperative model, which we have worked in other markets to be in Canada, to see how we can build on that. Thank you.
Maybe I shouldn't flick that on and off. One of the things that's been clear to me as I've sat in this position at Innovate BC is that farmers are looking for technology that's going to give them a clear return on investment, not necessarily something that's flashy, but there are opportunities with emerging technologies, whether that's in automation or other aspects of precision agriculture. So I'm curious, when it comes to demonstrating short-term economic value, how can agri-tech innovators better demonstrate or short-term economic value so that we're not just like having promises in theory, but genuinely, reduce risk and improve margins? I'm sort of curious, maybe Rahul, you can talk to this question from what you are hearing from innovators you've supported, and then maybe we'll go down the panel and hear from the rest of our panelists of what they're seeing kind of firsthand and maybe in the supply chain when it comes to ROI and new tech.
No, Brian, that's a very important question actually, and something I'm right now actually teaching to a group of students as well about market identification and assessment. So if technology is developed in silo, like just in a lab environment, for example, without talking to customers and users, then you can face that challenges because they can be excited about technology, but not knowing how it would be integrated in a business process, and in the end, how would it impact the margins. So it is very critical that technologies, especially in the agriculture sector, is co-created talking to like your end user or your market segment, whether it's a processor or it's a producer or a farmer, and make sure it is also co-validated with them, keeping like cost benefit analysis in mind and doing all those like margin assessment for people and the entire value chain of the that product. Without that, there will always be a risk that technology may be exciting, but it may not serve in the end because the market forces will just not accept it.
Dave, you want to take a stab at what makes innovation real and meaningful, and what do, when it comes to adopting new technology on the farm, like what's most important?
Well, everything Rahul said there, but the other thing I'd say is that the easiest way to get it across to a farmer in the beginning is that it's got to replace something that's being done, especially in today's environment. I would say that if you're selling a nice to have, you're gonna have to really paint a nice ROI and explain it to us on why it makes sense for us to invest in this. And the payback can't be multiple years, because with the unknown, we're just gonna assume it won't work then, to be honest, and we're gonna want to make sure that we're getting return on our investment pretty fast to make sure it's working. And then when it comes to replacing something, I shared with these guys, this year we bought a piece of equipment, sadly not out of Surrey, but out of, I think it's Illinois, called the Rain 360. It's an autonomous robot that walks up and down the field, putting manure down in the bed of the corn rows. It was a big investment for us, but it displaced an activity that we had to do, and that was a pain point all year, not only on a cost point. So traditionally we would drag line manure, so we'd run two 400 horsepower diesel pumps pumping manure in an 8-inch line over the land for most of the summer, and it took two people to do, and that diesel fuel is there. These Rain 360 runs a small 50 horse electric motor, and it's a 24-hour application, and it meant that we only needed one guy every so often there. So that was easier technology to adopt, and it had a clear use case for it. Innovate BC has now funded for us a teat dip sprayer, and that's another thing. Like every time we're finished milking, we spray the udder with a disinfectant or a teat spray, sometimes different than a disinfectant. But that was an easier one to understand what we're displacing and the pain point of getting somebody to do it properly and then taking the time to do it. So I'd say if you really want a farmer to adapt it quick, make sure it's simple and easy to understand on what it's supposed to do.
Michelle, any thoughts to expand on what's there? Or I think we've had some good points too.
I think pretty much what Dave said. Yeah, if you have technology, it either needs to be cheaper, easier, or better than your existing process. And if you're investing as a farmer into something and you're not really sure about it, then the company needs to make assurances that if it doesn't work or if you're unhappy with the results, that there will be able to buy it back from you, and you're not stuck with something that you don't like rotting in your backyard.
some guarantees and warranties that can give some peace of mind. And point of view, but yeah.
Two different concepts or two different ways of looking at it. So one is farmer forward and one backward. In the last 30 plus years of being in the industry, the biggest which I realized worldwide was they don't have consistent consumers. It keeps varying based on situations, markets, and all. So we work personally. I work a lot on consumers, and it goes backwards to say what a consumer wants. And if I look at from a farmer, it always happens is exactly what Dave said is how do I get return of making it so better that the consumer gets better. I don't think there's any perfect answer. It's just getting it to closer. But if we understand the consumer's requirement and we try to set it up collaborating or cooperating or creating more alliances, I think the economy of scale makes it viable than every individual doing it individually. If it's been done efficiently, and there are many models across the world which we have been a part of. Yeah. So it works worldwide.
Does this?
I don't think the mic detaches from the podium.
Okay, can you hear?
But
So what we're saying is that if we can understand the consumer's behavior and go backwards and make it a collaborative backend, I think there is a lot of scope for technology which can play to efficiently grow, efficiently cost cut, and efficiently expand on the scalability. So it's a very important factor for a farmer to actually get the best returns back if we can do all in a larger scale of market.
and that kind of ties into the second question, adoption being about confidence. And I think with emerging ag tech, part of what we're seeing the industry question evolving from is, can it do? Can a robotic arm spray a cow? Can a laser kill a weed? To will it do that every time I need it to do that thing? And so I think you've seen, especially in the dairy space, adoption of milking robots, and that's gotten to a point of like it is reliable enough that you can count on it to be an integrated part of your milking system. But there might be other examples of technology that can do, but don't always will do when you need them to. So when it comes to looking at that question of like how do you establish confidence, and I think both in the tech, but I think Nico earlier, or sorry, Dave, his brother's name, who was the lead applicant on their funded proposal, so I keep mixing them up today. You were saying about how stable future cash flows can really unlock investments, and that can be an important part of that consideration, and something that you kind of seen happen in the dairy space. But I think that is also part of what you're saying is possible in other commodity spaces. If there is enough stability, then you can have that confidence to make investments in new innovations. So feel free to tackle either side of that around the technology being ready enough to inspire that confidence, as well as the market and your business being ready enough to have that confidence to take that risk too. But yeah, Dave, we'll throw it over to you to start.
Well, the example I was giving earlier at our table was the dairy industry with supply management allowed a lot of companies back in the, let's call late 80s, early 90s to come forward with innovation, or at that time what was innovation or new technology. And there's companies like Artex Barn Solutions and Lowen Welding and JBS now that came out and did a lot of equipment. But you talk to those guys and why it worked here and why they were able to grow their business here is because there was stable farming industry, there was cash flow that the guys had, and they farms, because of the supply management system, had the that stability to invest in new technology. I think that's when you look at Surrey and you look at our strategy, let's call it, for food in the future, and it goes to Vivek's point, if you have a good consumer base and for us farmers, processing base that can buy your products and it starts there, and you know that you're going to have a home for your milk or your vegetables or any other product, then you're more willing to invest in that technology going forward. So I think that's a real key point that needs to be taken on when you think about the ag tech, strategy going forward. What was
Just about the tech itself being ready and able to do something. As much as the market makes you ready, like how are you also looking at new tech and whether or not it's a fit?
Yeah, as far as it being ready, we're very skeptical people. So we're going to turn to others in the market and want to see test cases. And if you don't have a good test case, we're either not going to touch it or there's going to have to be a lot of support behind it. And the other thing about that technology is you have to understand how it's going to be used. I think some of the technology that's coming out is based off sensors, and Lana, I think, used the example of the tomatoes. But it's good to have that technology, but understanding how to use it and how I'm going to make a good management decision to improve my business is extremely important. So if you're in the ag tech space, make sure that you have a farmer at your table when you're discussing what you're going to do.
I agree with Dave. The companies need a farming perspective on everything. Like you hear it often from Silicon Valley, like the tech bros want to invent a new, to put it, they pretty much reinvent the train and railway for transportation. And it can be the same thing in farming. Like there's reasons farmers do things a certain way because it works. And if you come up with something that's completely radical, the farmer is going to say that is not going to work in any way, or they're going to say that's been tried before and it's been abandoned. So you need the farming perspective to guide the technology, not that the technology guides the farming.
I have a case studies just to let you know, and we have used this for almost every part of the business. What we have done is to create a transparency between farming and a consumer. Because if it works in silos, the farmer does not understand what the consumer needs in 100% part. They know a little bit of it, and the consumer don't understand the importance of the farmer. Like how many consumers really understand the effort a farmer puts back? Nobody understands how it's coming on your table. We have tried this model and it works very well when exactly what both of them said is to bring everybody on a table and have an end-to-end situation. The farmer gets motivated, the consumer gets what they want, and they are accountable for what they are asking for. And then the price does not matter. I think today it's all about saying, if somebody's giving it $1 and why should I pay $2 for something? But if they understand it and they're part of it. So personally, I have been involved in consumer development for the last 30 years. Most of the retailers hire me to understand how do I retain customers, even the top retailer like Tesco's and Marks and Spencer. So I go there and understand the consumer behavior. And for a consumer, always has been a product. A tomato is a tomato and a cauliflower is a cauliflower. If you make them aware of how it comes to your table and what is required and how can we get better, they are not engaged apart from a price. So for a farmer to get motivated and get what they want is understanding the consumer and having a transparency end to end, and then get the efficiencies going to make sure everybody in the chain gains out of it.
So today we heard about the memorandum of understanding and this new partnership. Curious, from your perspective, Rahul, what specific infrastructures investments are top of mind when it comes to the opportunity that lies ahead? Where are the gaps? Where are the opportunities?
if you're committing to some funding, I can give you a list of equipment infrastructure here. But I think no, it's very exciting to see this MOU and this opportunity coming at Surrey as well. But I would also highlight that how many existing infrastructure and centers we have here as well, and how this new opportunity will actually can mobilize all of them as well. So one thing, for example, at SFU, we have supercomputing facility, which is world level. We have KPU with world level genomics capabilities. And if you combine just these two together, because genomics require a lot of data analytics and computing power, you are already having a world-class facility here, infrastructure here. So again, in this new center, for example, just advances that power to, let's say, do some test beds or trying new technologies in a confined environment, but with farmers or end users. So I would see that if it is my vision, I could see open farms, control environment facilities robotics and AI and database management approaches that can be developed within a center like this, while utilizing expertise that we have in this city, and also in neighboring towns as well, because we certainly have a powerhouse of technology here that can serve the agri-tech sector pretty well.
Good. And from the producer perspective, I'm curious. Are there things that the city could do that would help you tackle innovation or accelerate a part of your business? When it comes to innovation that's happening here, it's a tough question. So Dave, I mean, the question I'm pulling at is that I think you were talking about at our table a little bit about how one of the biggest challenges of building out your market is that consumer awareness. So is there a role for something like this to play in a broader market? I'm curious if you see an opportunity there.
I'm gonna maybe contradict Vivek a little bit, but I don't know if it's infrastructure, but what we see as farmers, and we also market products, right? So we have grass-fed products in the market, and what I'm going to say might be because we sell grass-fed products, but a lot of time the consumer is resistant to the idea of farms using technology, and they want it. The line that drives me nuts when I talk to a customer or a consumer is, I wish farming was like it was in the old days. It's like, well, you don't know what it was like. But because, I'm going to ramble for a second, but because you see farming portrayed in certain ways in movies and in cartoons and all that, and we are generationally, my generation is generationally disconnected from agriculture, there is a boatload of misconceptions on what farming is today. So infrastructure, maybe not, but adding a piece into the education system that explains how food is produced would be immense for the adoption of technology in the future. I'm going to give a somewhat, it's not to say crude, but we do kindergarten tours every year. And maybe you've heard me say this, but we do kindergarten tours every year. And we always say when we tour the dairy, there is no dumb question. You can ask any question you want, we'll answer it all. So we conclude the tour. We've gone around the dairy. We've seen cows, calves, how we feed cows, manage manure, everything. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Somebody raises their hand, in this kindergarten class, and asks us why we do not milk male cows. The saddest thing about that question was it came from a parent. So it just shows how far away people are from agriculture and from where their food comes from. So yeah, I agree with you, Brenda, but but I think that's the essence of why. So you talk about customers and going customer back. I think there's a degree to that, but they also don't know what we do to get a product to the shelf. And you have to kind of lead the way there. So anyways, that's my ramble.
Yeah, I would say that education is key. Our farm supports the BC Ag into Classroom program with our with Endive and other products. What Dave said about, yeah, people don't know what farming is. When I was uh, 20 years ago, I was pulled over by a policeman right by our farm. At that time, never saw any police cars there. The reason he was there, somebody had complained that there were too many tractors on the road. So our joke in our family is they probably think milk comes from the supermarket as well. So education is key in everything in this world, but knowing where your food comes from instead of it being bulk powdered goods in a factory that is actually comes from the ground or from an animal, it will lead to a general healthy population, in my view.
This is kind of just a follow-on out of my own curiosity, but do you think that, you know, potentially some of this disconnect that we're seeing in food is also part of like maybe a recruitment and skills challenge of having more people coming back into agriculture? It's a declining workforce, and so there's obviously a gap in understanding food and how it's produced, but as we start to approach that, do you think that also kind of creates the pipeline for, you know, more talent, more resources to come into the sector as well, or is this just a marketing challenge? I'm curious if anyone wants to take a swing at that. Yeah,
Well, I
Roland?
can take with bit of my perspective as well, but I think we are as urbanization happened like in the last decades or so, like there is bit of, or maybe quite a bit of disconnect like from where food comes from, where like kids now see where food is coming from. And I think technology is also like is a somewhat reason that kids mostly, or like even us, like often at times like stick to screens, and technology is selling dreams a lot as well, but the agriculture is done like on grounds, right? And students and kids especially don't get that exposure, so that is very critical. But there is also a business side of that as well, that even we talk about technology and how it can produce food or support food production as well, but then there's a business side of that. So I think at kindergarten or like elementary school level, even if they talk about value chain, then they could see where things start to grow, how it goes to like processor to retailer, and then comes to your home, not like just from your like like retailer coming to your home. I think that will help them understand that okay, this is the ecosystem, how it works. But more importantly, like they can then think of, as they go to universities or like learn about technology, they can see how a technology can fit into a specific part of that value chain. So I think that's how innovation will happen as well, and there will be appreciation of like that needs to happen. Otherwise, we'll see like severe food security. Because I was in Kamloops like just day before yesterday with ranchers, and one of the question came is that where is the young generation there? Because pretty much all the like people participating in that conference were 50 plus, or probably 60 plus, I would say. And there was just one young guy like who asked me, okay, I don't see people like me here, and we have to continue these ranching as practices as well. And like 10 years down the road, we're going to have some challenge. So I think we have to be quite mindful of that right now.
I'll
Vivek,
give
you want to?
I will give a little different perspective and follow up to Rahul's thing. I do a lot of mentoring in a lot of universities, and I fail to understand that agriculture is not promoted at all. Young generation don't feel that it's glamorous. It's too when I say dirty in terms of dirtying your hand, and people think it's not for me. People like to be more glamorous. So I the fear is that agriculture is dying, not because we don't want to do it. The future generation doesn't want to take it on. So technology plays a little what do you call it? It's like a enemy to say that if you get too much technology, the consumers behave exactly what Dave said. Dave, right? Yeah, sorry. Dave said that people don't want technology because they want to grow it old ways, but nobody knows that. So promoting agriculture to show that there is glamour in there, if you do it correctly. I think if you do not do that, our agriculture is going to get perished out. And it's a big challenge. So educating universities, education, exposures will help. And today's youth, the future is youth. We all are perishing. The future is of youth, and they are just waiting on an app to order something. They don't know really what it is.
I think that's a good point, Vivek, and kind of ties in a little bit with what you were saying, Dave, about, there's this portrayal of what ag tech might be or what farming could be or could look like, but it's not necessarily really rooted in what's happening. Um, yeah.
Sort of to add to that, so when we do, I feel like there's two consumers out there, and there's a consumer that thinks, and I have a slide on when I do presentations, but I have a picture of 3 little boys on a milk stool behind a cow milking a cow. And then on the other side, you have a cow hooked up to a factory. And those are the two views that people have. Either it's stuck in the past or it is all industrial farming and there's no actual like feel and touch to it. But the reality is that it is a balance between the two, and it must be a balance between the two. And I think that education is the point. And to your conversation about people coming into it, nothing good came out of COVID, but the empty shelf, I think, has pushed people to understand that food is it shouldn't be taken for granted anymore. And we sell a premium product, and every, I don't know, 2 months I look and I go, man, it's going to start decline because the market or the economy is going down, but it's still hanging in strong. And I think that's because people are starting to value food more. And I think that's an opportunity for the ag tech sector to move forward. But yeah, that consumer adoption piece is tough.
I think you've also all kind of touched on this thread to technology adoption in whether it's attracting a new workforce, attracting the next generation. And from the BC On-Farm Technology Adoption Program, we've seen a couple of different use cases of either a technology being what is new and exciting and helps bring back that second generation of the farm. I think, Michelle, maybe that is part of what brought you back to your own family farm was the opportunity to see how technology could help continue to evolve your business. But we've also seen producers, maybe a second generation that spent some time away from the farm. They're coming back into it, and that they're ready to be in this position for succession. But there's a lot of information that's up in somebody's head somewhere, and they're towards the end of their career. I'm just trying to balance yelling into mic versus yelling so you can hear me, as this is intermittent. But the ability to take what is intrinsic knowledge in somebody's head and start to digitize it and put it into records so that you have a digital map now of where every pump and piece of irrigation infrastructure is on your farm, instead of your farm manager who's just been doing it for 30 years. That's another place where technology has been a big piece. There's the opportunity for automation and just better living and work conditions by getting some of those repeatable tasks automated, whether that's spraying a T-dip or otherwise. And so I think it's where technology is creating new opportunities in farm businesses. It's helping bring generations back to the farm, but it's also in both with the excitement of what is in the future and what is possible, but as well as making that transition of how do I take 30 years of what you know and have been doing your whole life and make that something that, heaven forbid, if you're not here tomorrow, I can work with and continue to work with as I need to. So I think there is a really strong role for technology in the succession and future planning of farms as well. And just wanted to kind of drag a couple of those stories out from the BC On-Farm Technology Adoption Program. But I'm curious when it comes to other aspects of tech. Michelle, Dave, maybe you can also share some stories about tech that might have come across your desk or your steps that wasn't quite ready, that you had to turn away, or things that maybe you took a risk and it didn't quite perform the way it was it was promised to be. How are you navigating new opportunities, and say there were agri-tech innovators in this audience today, like what is the best way for them to connect, to learn about what problems need to be solved? What are some forms of engagement? Because I think we've said, it's really important to have farmers at the table, but I think you've also talked about a number of different engagements you have in your own farm. Probably means you don't have a ton of time. What are the best ways to connect with producers? Not just you personally. I don't expect you to give out your cell phone numbers, but more like, how would you recommend an innovator connect and get that voice at the table?
I think probably through programs like I'm not sure about SFU's ag program. I'm more familiar with UFE's ag program. We support that program coming onto our property, looking at the crops and learning about our farm. So really through education, that's probably, and collaborating with research stations or schools to be able to say, hey, this is a new way of doing something, and then the farmer has a bit more trust if it's already an established relationship with that school. So like our farm personally, 4 years ago, we bought an in-row weeder. Didn't work at all. We mowed over more of our crop than it weeded weeds. I guess one good thing about that, we didn't have to send it back because we got insurance from the flood because it was destroyed. But yeah, in that example, that machine was proven to work in Europe, and we had all the insurances that it would work. And then we had problems, and I said, "Oh, we haven't seen that before," and we had very little support. And our farm, we're used to working with the time difference in Europe because a lot of our equipment comes from overseas, but we're no strangers to that. But we hadn't encountered that level of disdain for their own product yet, and that made us more careful in the future about choosing what we invest in as well.
Any pitfalls, Dave, you want to warn the audience about?
I can't think of a pitfall right now, but I'm sure there was some. I think the best way to connect and maybe win the support of a potential farming client is to have some proof. And if you don't have proof, I would work with Rahul and say that Rahul blessed it and it's good and he's guaranteeing it with SFU's money, and then we'll probably adopt it. But okay. But yeah, the other thing is don't send an email. We get a lot of emails, and the minute you get an email, you're like, who is this person? Where are they from? Why would I take time? If you're gonna do it, like try get a number or get a connection, and make somehow get in front of us, and understand that we're going to be skeptical, and understand that you probably don't have world-changing technology, or at least come to that with that perspective. And the other thing I'd say is, if you are struggling and you need to know, go to the BC or Surrey Farmers Institute, try connect with those guys. They have a good network of farmers. And then I think the other thing is there is such an opportunity for this new hub that they either have innovation days or those types of things to connect with people. But word of mouth is probably your best marketing you'll ever have in the ag industry.
I'd like to add something like, for myself, I'm a supplier of ag tech as well, and I've found it extremely helpful with organization like the BC Organic Center. They put on some demo days. I was involved with that, kind of get the word out that way. And then they have other parties that are like, hey, I'm looking for something. And then they in turn connect with me and say, hey, have you thought of something for this problem that this farmer is having? So it's really getting out there and connecting with the different organizations. And like Dave said, I usually don't email farmers because as a farmer, I know emails are kind of low on the priority. I try not to bother farmers in the middle of the busy planting or harvesting season because they're not looking at that point, at that moment in time for a new technology. You need to catch them at the right moment to where they have time to sit down and talk to you or have half an hour on the phone.
If I can just add something, because training and upskilling something very core to BC Center for Agritech Innovation as well, and something we have found which has really helped us deliver our message is not focusing on big programs and whatnot, but looking at micro credential or smaller workshop, demonstrating how equipment and technology can do. And we have worked very closely with associations like Blueberry Council. We have worked with Greenhouse Growers Association as well. Plus we have delivered several workshops with the University of the Fraser Valley, Thompson University, Quantum Polytech KPU as well. So I think that helps us to really take technology out, demonstrate to the farmers or end user to see how it can work in their space, and then it's about just trying it in their own business and see if it can be integrated or not. One example I wanted to talk about is, again, in Kamloops, what we did is we had something called precision ranching demonstration, and we had a guy sitting in Mississippi, who operated a drone sitting on a ranch like in Kamloops. Actually, outside of that, a box basically opened up, drone came out and went to a ranch, could track the herd basically, and you can zoom it out. You can use infrared to actually check on the health of those cattle as well, and then you can actually use virtual fencing approach to basically move them from one location to another. So that when people see that, there were actually already people who were very excited and were actually keen to try that. So that kind of approach helps quite a bit.
So part of what I'm to recap, I'm hearing reach out to the associations, maybe connect with a local dealer who understands a problem, connect with BC Chi to see what funding opportunities might exist and how those demonstrations are effective in creating more interest about the technology. So showing a little bit of can it do, respecting the seasonality of the work, and picking up the phone or knocking on the door are some of the tips I think that I've heard from across the panel.
Yeah, the other thing I'd say is, if it's the first one of one, do not expect to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to give it to somebody to use it, and you're going to have to be there 24 hours a day supporting the thing if you want it to be successful.
If an demonstration is done, and what they say is, if we can prove the point, everybody would be interested. To just have somebody do it without having a back, I think small projects to show the results is probably the best thing for farmers to say it works, and how can I scale it up to make it beneficial for me.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point for us to wrap up on. I don't know if we have times for any questions beyond what we've done with the panel today. No. So thank you to our panelists. I think showing that it can be done is the point of our gathering here today, and finding spaces where we can make those points proven. And so thanks to the City of Surrey for having us, and thank you to the panelists for joining. And I will turn my mic back over.
What a great conversation. Thank you so much to our panel. We will have a 1-hour networking, so there can be some more casual conversations. You talked about the glamour of feeding people, and I can't think of anything more glamorous or meaningful. So thank you for the work that you do. And once again, it's my pleasure to thank our sponsors. The supporting sponsor, the BC Centre for Agritech Innovation, hosted at Simon Fraser University. Big round of applause. And our community sponsor, Fortis BC. And most of all, thanks to all of you for attending and sharing your feedback. It's really valuable to us. And I think by bringing together farming, tech, business, education, the community, this beautiful city together, we're bridging that knowledge gap. And I know at least everyone in this room knows not to milk a male cow. We all know that. So with that, please stay for the networking portion of the event today and make it a great business and agri-tech day. Thanks, everyone.